Okay, to get the AC belt off, this bolt right here, that's 14 millimeter. You're going to turn that counterclockwise, break it loose, and then I put the other socket on there. You see right there, it's attached to the bolt. That's a 12 millimeter, and you're going to turn that adjustment screw, and that's going to loosen the AC belt, which is right here, and that should be the harmonic balancer. And then you're going to undo that and remove that belt. This is a lot easier to take off than the alternator belt. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to crack this bolt loose first, and then crack the 12 millimeter bolt loose. And this should push forward this way and take tension off this belt to remove this AC belt. Just recognize the numbers. They point inward on the belt, so when you put the new belt on, you're going to put the belt on the same direction. I don't know if it's important or not, but that's just what I do with all the belts. So we're going to take this belt off right now, and then we're going to inspect it for cracks. And we're going to put a new belt on, because when I do the belts, I do all three at once, so it just saves time, so I don't have to do this again for another 70,000-80,000 kilometers. Okay, so we got a problem here. This is the compressor. This is my scope. Just put the scope on there, just like that. And I'm going to want to listen for the pulley. Now, when I spin it, I can hear it, and then I can actually take my finger. It's moving back and forth. That pulley shouldn't move at all, so this looks like it's going to be a little more expensive job than I thought. So I'm going to have to look into how to take in the clutch off and the pulley off of that compressor. I might have to order a new bearing, because it shouldn't be wobbling at all, but it is. So that explains a little bit of the whine, little bit of the whoa noise inside the car when the AC kicks on. So that's originally what got me to do the belt job, was because I suspected maybe it's a bad belt. But now that I checked the air conditioning compressor, it looks like the bearing is going bad. This is a 2009, and if I had got it fixed at 60,000, it would have been covered under warranty. But because it's over 60, I'm pretty much having to foot out the bill for this. So I have to go online and pull up the diagrams on the Hyundai website, find out how to change that off. Okay, so now we got the AC belt off. I'm gonna turn it backwards. Inspect it for cracks. Looking at this AC belt as well, I'm surprised there's not any cracks at all in the ribs. Usually when there's about 7 cracks within a 1-inch section, you should buy a new belt and replace it. But once again, I'm under here, and it's already 70,000, so I'm just gonna take that belt and replace it. It's the Bando belt 97713-1E0004PK815. It's a rib ace belt by Bando. So that's the belt, and the belt I bought was a Napa belt. I'll read out the millimeters. This is important you get this. This is the right size, because there's very little play here to adjust this. So it's 9/16 of an inch by 32 3/4 of an inch O.C. 14 millimeter by 831 millimeter O.C. It's a micro VAT belt 040320. I got this out of Napa, and it's got the 25 there. I just put AC on there just so I keep track. And when you change the belt, so a good idea to always keep the other belts in your trunk, so that way if you ever get a breakdown, you got some belts on the road to swap them out. So always keep these belts. Like, even though you've changed them and they're used, they could always come in handy in the case of emergency. So that's the AC belt. Looks like I got a pulley to replace on the compressor. Unfortunately, I don't got the money to do that right now, or the time, so I'm just going to put these new belts on. I'll worry about this down the road later. But yeah, that AC pulley is going bad, so that really stinks. So anyway, let's go on to the power steering belt next. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is it's a 12 millimeter. You look behind there, you see the holes right there? you're going to push that wheel, just turn it with your hand, so you can get your socket wrench in between there. And you're going to crack this bolt loose, and this will allow you to move the power steering pump. So okay, now that bolt's loose, we're going to go over to this side, and there's a bolt right there. It's 12 millimeter too. And the same thing, you're going to crack this one loose as well. It's just there we go. Now we should be able to see how that moves back and forth. So you're going to push that forward, and then you're going to tighten that bolt, and that'll get access to this belt right here. And that belt wraps around the power steering pump, and it also wraps around the inside of the water pump pulley, which is, let's get my my scope here, right there. That's the belt I'm talking about, and wraps around the inside of that pulley wheel there. It comes up. So it's pretty simple to take it off and put it back on. And this belt has the big thick rib teeth, so we're going to take that belt off right now, and then we'll continue when we get to that point. Okay, so this is the belt for the power steering. You notice it's got big teeth. It's a little thicker belt than the other two. This one is a Superstar dongle 57231-29100 HMC belt. The red numbers say V9C 3K 89. So this is the power steering belt. Same thing, you want to turn it upside down, and you want to check the teeth for cracks. And as you see, I don't know if you can see that, but right in there, it's cracked. So this belt needs to be replaced. There's no other cracks. I didn't see any other cracks in the teeth. There's somewhere in here. You can see the cracks. So this belt was on the way out. So that's why they make you check these every 70,000. So that's a bad belt. And this is the new one. It's gonna be a Napa XL belt, 25, and then 9260. I just wrote power steering on there so I wouldn't get it confused. And the dimensions of this belt are 31/64 inch times 26-3/8 inch, or 12.5 by 13 millimeter times 670 millimeter. Those are the dimensions of that belt. And here's the new belt right here. Same thing. You wanna, all your belts you wanna match up with the other belt. And this is just your good old-fashioned Napa belt. So I'm gonna put this on. So when we're done taking all three belts off, we're gonna go over to the car there and inspect the pulley. Okay, so you're gonna wrap it. You gotta move the alternator back a little, and it fits between the inside of this wheel right there. And then it goes all the way, wrap it around here, and then around and back down. And then once it's on there, we're going to tension this belt. And so we're going to go get our ruler. Now you could do this by just, some people say, you know, you twist the belt, but this one you can't twist. You actually got to measure it between this one and this pulley in the middle. You got to put a ruler across, and it's got to be so many millimeters in to be the proper tension. Now when you put a new belt on, You need to run it for like 3 to 5 minutes and then recheck the tension, because a new belt being put on will slack a little after you've run it. So that's why you got to recheck. So you always recheck your tension about 3 to 5 minutes after you run the car. It'll allow the belt to seat right and stretch in and fit in, and then you'll get the accurate belt tension for that belt. So that's the power steering belt. So we're going to get a ruler right now, and I'm going to go get the spec sheet for this belt, and we're going to adjust it to the right tension. Okay, so the proper torque specs, you want to torque these bolts correctly. This is the one bolt we undid there. That bolt is going to be between 14 and 20 foot-pounds of torque to torque that bolt tight. And the other bolt that we adjusted was, let's put that back there, is, let's find that bolt there. That bolt right there. And we undid that, and that allows the power steering pump to move forward and backward. And that bolt is between 18 and 24 foot-pounds of torque. These are in aluminum, bolted into aluminum, so I suggest you torque these properly, because if you over tighten these, you're going to strip them, and this is aluminum, and it's just a nightmare. You don't want to be retapping screws because you didn't do this right. So there's the specs for those two bolts. So we're going to pull the power steering pump this direction. It's going to put tension on this belt right here, and then we're going to go grab our ruler, and we're going to put the ruler across here, these points here, and then we're going to push in on the belt like this, and then we're going to measure the deflection. And I'm going to go look up the specs for the deflection right now. Okay, so we're going to move this pulley and then fit our socket into that bolt. And you want to approach it from this angle here, and you're going to pull this pump forward and tighten that bolt. So we're just going to tighten that bolt, and then we're going to want to check the tension of this belt by pushing it in. And what you're going to do is, there's different ways you can do it. You can put a piece of wood across there, or you can use the back plate as a reference. Just put a little mark on there and put a ruler and push in and measure the deflection. The deflection should be, for a new belt, the tension should be between 5 and 5.5 millimeters of deflection. So you're going to grab your ruler. Let's see here, and that's going to be 10 millimeters is a centimeter, so basically half a centimeter. So you're going to measure that, and it can't be any more than half a centimeter when you push down in the center for the deflection. With a new belt, you're going to want to run the car for 8 minutes according to the Hyundai manual, and then recheck the deflection. For a new belt, it's between 5 and 5.5 millimeter. For a used belt, it's between 6 and 7 millimeter. So if you're doing servicing on your car and you're going to take these belts off, the power steering belt, that's what it's rated for. And you should be checking the after operation. It should be 0.315 of an inch. So the power steering and the AC belt have both the exact same tension dimensions for measurement, and the alternator is a little different. So that's how you measure the tension of the belt. You're going to push in the middle there and measure it with a ruler. And it's a little tricky because, and then once you're done tightening that bolt to the torque spec that I said, you're going to tighten this bolt last, which is right there. And that'll stop the pump from moving. And that's pretty much what you do for the power steering belt. So that's how you adjust it, and that's how you install it. So let's install it. It's wrapped around the power steering pump and on the inside of this water pump pulley. That's the correct way to install the power steering belt. So the next belt we're going to install next is the AC belt. So we're going to go there right now.